Every time I explain about factorization question that I ask my students to focus on this procedure, we always consider the easiest method to factorize it first. So we should check is there any common factor. If not, then we consider is there any identity format. And if not, finally, we try to use the cross factorization method. It's not magic, so it's not because of certain procedure and then you have to do this, do that. It's not correct. Anyway, in part A, many students may think that it's very confusing. It's because it's not typical. It's not x power 2 and then y power 2, something like that. There are three terms, and before you consider is there identities or cross factorization, you should consider the common factor. Every term 1, 2, 3, there is a common factor which is x up to square. So I can extract as most x squared from each items. The first term, take out x power of 2, so 3 deduct 2, still power of 1 is left, x power of 1. The second term, take out x power of 2, so negative and y is left. The last term, take out x squared, so negative 5 and y squared is left. After that, we are going to look at this format. Inside the bracket, can we further factorize? There is no common factor. This is not identities because we don't have x squared, we don't have xy. And of course we can't factorize it because this is x power 1 only. So part A requirement, you may just stop here. And part B, the first three terms are exactly the same as our question in part A. So you just replace it by our answer in part A, x squared times x minus y minus 5y squared. The problem is the second group, that means the last three. We have positive x, but this is negative x. We have negative y here, but this is positive y. We have negative 5y squared, but this is positive 5y squared. So, in order to create similar thing, we should extract negative 1. Negative x divided by negative, positive x is left. Positive y divided by negative, negative y is left. And negative 5y squared. So now what inside the bracket are exactly the same, so we consider this long bracket as something called common factor. Then we can extract it. Just strictly follow the normal procedure. For the common factor, we put it in left hand side. And then we prepare a bracket to prepare what is left. This term, take out this bracket, x squared is left. The second term, take out this bracket, negative 1 is left. And many students think that it's finished, but the command factorize means you have to factorize it until you can't further factorize. This one in part A, we already know that we can't factorize. But this bracket with x squared, with 1 is also something square. Therefore, we can further factorize by using the identity something square minus something square. That's why the final step is to change the second bracket to something plus something, something minus something. And the first thing is x, while the second thing is 1. And then we check once again, 3 brackets. Each bracket we can't further factorize. Then we can announce that we finished the question. And you should notice that this question usually they give you 3 marks, but this time they give you 4 marks. There should be some extra things that deserve 1 more marks. In part A, there are compound inequalities, so we have to finish or simplify one by one. And finally, maybe we can simplify the expression to give one final simpler conclusion. The first inequality, I just both sides times 7. So 2 times 7 we get 14. And beware that because I multiply both sides by positive value, so do not trigger a change in the direction. 14x minus 28, and then we want to group all x together. All constant together. After that, I want x, I don't want negative 17, so I divide both sides by negative 17 to remove it. But be reminded that if you divide both sides by negative, it's trigger a change in the direction. It will become opposite direction. The reason is the same as you compare 1 and 3. 3 is larger. But however, if you consider negative 1 and negative 3, you will find that negative 1 is larger instead. Therefore, x is larger or equal to 2. This is the simplified conclusion for this complicated inequality. But don't forget that we still need to handle with the second one, and we are applying n case. So 5x larger than 23, and then both sides divided by 5. Again, 5 is positive, so no need to change the direction. This is the conclusion for the second one. Now we are going to consider these two requirements together by using n case and see whether we can simplify the expression. Then in your draft, we are going to draw a number line, and then we find that 2 is smaller than 23 over 5, that means 4.6. And then the first requirement, larger or equal to 2. The second requirement is larger than 4.6. Now, the number line, the whole number line are separated to 3 different regions. We are going to find which region fulfill the requirement, both, because we are talking about n. The first region is not okay because it do not fulfill anyone. The second region is not okay also because we are talking about both n. It's just fulfill the first one but not the second one, so it's not satisfying the inequality. And only the last region here is satisfied the first one and also covered by the second requirement. So our solution is the most right hand side region, and our answer is the name of this region which fulfill both requirements. The name of the first region is called x, any x smaller than 2. The middle region is called x between 2 and 4.6. And the last region is called x larger than 4.6. This region is all the x which is larger than 4.6. So this is our final answer for part A, and you need to give me the conclusion by using the symbol. Therefore, x is larger than 23 over 5, or you may say x is larger than 4.6. This one is the simplified answer of this one and this one. Therefore, this will deserve one final answer mark for part A. And then in part B, we are going to find a least integer. Integer, that means whole number, which is the smallest one, fulfill the requirement. The best method is use the number line and then write down some integer on the number line. We find that 3 or 4 is not qualified because it's not in our target region yet. And then the first integer within the region is 5. So this is the least integer, fulfill the requirement mentioned in A. Then you just write down the number directly. The integer is 5. The performance of percentage question this time is again is very horrible, and then just for some of you everything just simply mess up, and then the key point is they just memorize the exact procedure but they don't know what is the flow of the logic. So remind you once again, whenever we are talking about cost multiplies and selling price, something like that, then you should draw properly. From the cost, from the viewpoint of shop owner, we sell it again to earn back some money. During this process, maybe we earn some money or we lost some money. So we have some profit or loss percent in this process. And then the outcome is the real transaction price, which is the selling price. From the viewpoint of shop owner, that represent the amounts that we receive back after we pay the cost. And then finally, from the customer's view, from the viewpoint of customer, from the price tag, we have the market price, that means the original price. And then sometimes the shop owner claim that they are going to give you a certain amount of discount, that means you don't need to pay the full price, but you just need to pay how many percent less than the original. So this is called the discount percent. And then apply to this question. They say that the cost is given $70. And then now it is sold with the percentage loss of 20%. That means in this process, from the cost, and then it's decreased 20% of the original amount, and then it's become the selling price. So in part A, they ask you about the selling price. You just need to describe the relation between cost and selling price. Pay extra attention to the direction of arrow. Is from this amount, some operation become this amount. From cost, something happened, lost 20%, become the selling price. Therefore, from $70, lost 20%, that means time 1 minus 20%. On top of original amounts, that means 1 times, we decrease 20%, and then it will become the selling price. So, in order to get this unknown, the selling price, it's just the subjects already. We just need to handle this part. Selling price is equal to 70 times 0.8 times. Then we have $56. Therefore, the selling price is $56. We just received back $56. That's why it is a loss. And then in part B, the story continues. If this chocolate is sold as a discount of 30%, that means from the original price, we deduct 30% and become the selling price. So minus 30% here. And then we just write down the relation between market price and selling price by using the arrow. From market price, there's some operation which is deduct 30% will become the selling price. In this case, market price is unknown, so keep writing as market price. Deduct 30%, this action means on top of original 1 time, we deduct 30%. It will become the selling price, and the selling price is found, which is 56. Therefore, 0.7 times of the market price is equal to 56. And what we have to do is, I don't want 0.7 times, I'm going to divide it by 0.7. And we have to do it on both sides. That's why the final answer, market price cancel out, 1 time of market price is equal to $80. And that's the market price. Don't just simply think that you should times, you should divide. It's not fixed. It depends on the situation, depends on the questions. Just simply write down the relation and then solve the equation afterward. In this question, there are 2 points, C and D, so you should roughly draw the position of C and D. The first point, 3, 6, go right by 3, go up by 6, so this is the position of C. The second point, D is 2, 5, go right by 2 and then go up by 5, this is the position of D. Now they tell you that C is refracted along the y-axis. That means our mirror is the y-axis, and then C refracted along this mirror. So from right hand side, it will jump to left hand side. Originally, go right hand side by 3 will become go left hand side by 3. So that's the position for the image of C. The coordinates is -3 and then 6. Now point D is rotate clockwise. So confirm once again, clockwise, that means this direction for 90 degrees about the origin. And then from this point, it's difficult to rotate a straight line from O to D. But don't forget how you go to point D, this position. From the origin, you go right by 2 steps, and then you go up by 5 steps. That's how you reach point D position. So the horizontal movement, rotate clockwise 90 degrees, go right will become go down. And then the green movement, go up by 5 originally, will become go right by 5 steps. So the new position of D is here, D prime. But when you label the position of this, don't forget we always write down the left-right position first. So you should write down 5 first instead of -2. It is 5, -2. Since this question is not that difficult, so I suggest you to spend longer time to double check did you make any careless mistake, and also part B is rely on this. We are going to prove whether CD, that means connect this line and also connect these two red points, are they perpendicular to each other. They ask you whether CD perpendicular to C prime D prime. This question exactly the same as asking you whether slope of CD times slope of C prime D prime equal to -1. If they are parallel, their slope are the same. But if they are perpendicular, then their product of their slope should equal to -1. Memorize this theorem. So we are going to find out the slope of CD and slope of C prime D prime respectively. To handle slope of CD, you better copy down the information vertically to compare the x coordinate and y coordinate, 3, 6 and 2, 5. So the slope of CD is equal to delta y divided by delta x. The y difference, we use 6 minus 5. Then the x difference, we use 3 minus 2. 1 over 1, so it's equal to 1. We do the same for C prime D prime. The slope of C prime D prime is equal to delta y divided by delta x. So 6 minus -2. Or you may write down 6 plus 2 directly. Over -3 minus 5. We get 8 over -8. Simplify, we get -1. And there is one common mistake, is students usually directly write down slope CD times slope C prime D prime equal to -1 and then -1 times 1 equal to -1. This is wrong. Before you really get the value, you should imagine that it may not -1. So you shouldn't directly claim that it's -1 and then prove it is correct. It is wrong logic. You should say consider slope C prime D prime times slope CD is equal to -1 times 1 is equal to -1. Therefore, since the finding that their product is -1, you can draw the conclusion CD perpendicular to C prime D prime. This type of question do not appear every year, but if it's appear, then it will become one of the fundamental questions that ensure you get passed. But anyway, rotation of a certain point is very popular in the past experience. Even though it do not appear in paper 1, it may be appear in paper 2. Whenever you find a polar coordinate questions, you have to draw the polar axis. I'm quite happy that a number of you can draw the position properly. And then for the first point, point P, we rotate 150 degrees first, so it should be somewhere here. From polar axis, anti-clockwise, rotate 150 degrees to reach the direction, and then work for 18 steps to reach the point P. Second point Q, from polar axis, rotate 210 degrees. But for the clear drawing, we focus on already rotate 150 degrees, or rotate how many extra degree. So we are going to find our angle POQ, which is equal to the angle difference 210 degree minus 150 degree equal to 60 degree. That means in order to reach the new point, we rotate extra 60 degree. And the distance should be the same, which is 18 this time. And when we draw, we already finished part A, which is the angle between them. In part B, we are going to find out the parameter of triangle POQ. That means a triangle formed by these 3 points, so we have to connect P and Q. And we have to find out how long is PQ. There is 2 approaches. The first one is you have to realize that this is an equilateral triangle. That means 3 sides are exactly the same length. So you can directly say that this one is 18. Because there are only 4 marks here, exclude this, and there's only 2 marks here. So you don't need to give a very accurate proof, but you just need to tell us that you know the fact that this is an equilateral triangle. But why this triangle is equilateral is because these 2 sides are the same, so their base angle are also the same. Base angles isosceles triangle. If you consider theta plus 60 degree is equal to 180 degree angle sum of triangle, then 2 theta is 120 degree and theta is 60 degree, which means that every interior angle is 60 degrees. That's why this one is an equilateral triangle. Triangle POQ is an equilateral triangle. So PQ equal to PO equal to OQ is equal to 18. Then you can say the perimeter is equal to 18 times 3, which is 54 units. Their total length together is 18 times 3 times. And then part C, they ask you to write down the number of throws of rotational symmetry. That means you rotate this shape for one cycle, how many times it will be repeated. 1 corner, 2 corner, 3 corners. So if you rotate for one cycle, it will be repeated for 3 times. If you are not really sure that what I'm talking about, then you go to the playlist and then search the video which is about rotational symmetry. This is our very fundamental questions about equation of straight line. They say there is a line pass through a certain point, negative 1, 3. That means go left by 1 and then go up by 3. It's passed through this point. And then with the slope 2, positive slope, that means it's going up. And larger than 1, that means larger than 45 degree extent. So it is go up quite quickly like this. And then we are going to find out the equation for this straight line. Whenever we write down the criteria for a straight line, every section they have the same slope. So we always write down slope equal to slope. That's the constraint for a straight line. We have to ensure every general point on this line will fulfill the same requirement. Therefore, the first slope expressed in terms of x and y. The general point compared with this point, delta y above, that means y minus 3 here, over x minus negative 1, the x difference. That's the slope in terms of x and y. And then the slope, we need the exact value in another sign. Sometimes they will give you explicitly, say that the slope is something like that, or they will try to use some indirect method to imply that. So in this case, they give you directly, which is 2. So this is already the equation of straight line. What we have to do finally is just to simplify it and then change it to some certain kind of format. I hate fractions, so I multiply both sides by x plus 1. Therefore, y minus 3 is equal to 2 times of x plus 1. Y minus 3 is equal to x plus 2. And y alone is equal to x plus 5. This is called the slope-intercept form. And the major advantage is it gives us the shape and the y-intercept directly. The y-intercept is 5. We are going to find out the equation of L, and L pass through these 2 points. Again, for equation of straight line, the constraint is every section their slope should be the same. That's why it is straight. And then we need to use a general point to represent any point on the straight line. And left hand side the slope, we will use x and y to express the slope. This time as an example, maybe we compare this general point and point A. You may also compare with point B, it will give you exactly the same answer later on. So in this case, y difference, y compared with 8 and then x compared with negative 2. Right hand side, we need the exact value for the slope. But however, they do not explicitly tell you that the slope is something, but instead they give you 2 points, which help you to calculate the slope of this straight line. So we use these 2 points to find out the slope. We use y coordinates 8 minus negative 4, and we use negative 2 minus 4. And it's already the equation of straight line. We just need to tidy up and make it like the favorable format. So y is equal to negative 2x and then positive 4. And that makes sense because the slope is -2 going downward, and also the y-intercept is between 8 and -4. We are going to determine whether L passes through to 0. One of the common mistakes of the student is they try to put x equal to 2 and then y equal to 0 at the same time, but this is totally wrong, because whenever you put two values together, which means that you assume that this point already lie on L, and then you assume that this is correct, is passed through the point. To prove that it's passed through the point is so strange and totally do not make sense. It do not prove anything. So you can't put the two values together. You are just going to consider at a certain situation when x is equal to 2. And you consider what is the corresponding y, is that equal to 0 or other values. So y is equal to -2 times 2 plus 4. We get y is equal to 0. Since when x equal to 2, then y is equal to 0. Therefore, we say that L passes through to 0. In part C, they ask us to find the equation of straight line L1. That means there is another straight line. And this straight line passes through the origin, passes through this point, and perpendicular to our original line. Pass through this point and then perpendicular to L. L1 should be like this, and our mission is to find out the equation of this straight line. What we know is it's passed through a point 0, 0. And since they are perpendicular, so the slope of original line, that means -2, and the slope of the L1 is related. Again, our target is to write down slope equal to slope. In order to do so, we need a general point, xy. And in terms of x and y, this is y compared with the point that is passed, y minus 0, and also divided by x minus 0, is equal to a slope. We do not get the slope of L1 yet. That's why we are going to use the feature that is perpendicular to L. Since L1 perpendicular to L, the direct implication is ML1 times ML should equal to -1. The product of the slope should equal to -1. We already know the slope of original line is -2. So we place it by -2, and then we know the slope of L1 is equal to 1/2. Therefore, the slope, the exact value, is 1/2 after calculation. Y over x is equal to 1/2. Y is equal to 1/2 times of x. That means this is a straight line with y-intercept 0, and then go up slowly. That means whenever x increases by 2, y will increase by 1. In this question, there is an equation of straight line which is given directly, and then our mission is to find out the slope, the x-intercept, and also y-intercept, 3 items. For most of the situation, I will prefer slope-intercept form is because it gives us slope and y-intercept immediately. So I try to make y be the subject, and then both sides divided by -2. We have +3 and -15/2. This number, the coefficient of x, is the slope. Therefore, the slope is equal to 3. And the y-intercept is equal to -15/2. Beware that y-intercept is a value. It represents how long is that intercept point from origin. So it's not a coordinate. You just need to give me this value but not two numbers. Then we consider at x-intercept point. For any line x-intercept point, we know that the height is 0. So we are finding the corresponding x in this situation. At x-intercept point, we are talking about y equal to 0. So 6x minus 2 times 0 minus 15 equal to 0. You may also use slope-intercept form, but I just simply think that this is more convenient. So 6x is equal to 15, and then x is equal to 15 over 6. And don't forget that what you learned in primary school. If you find a common factor, then you should simplify it. Divide both sides by 3. Therefore, the x-intercept is 5 over 2. If you just simply write x is equal to something, it's not clear enough, so you better say x-intercept equal to 5 over 2. There is an equation of circle in general format, and then they ask us to write down the coordinates of the center. So it's just a direct application of those formula related to the general format. The general form of circle, whenever it is right like this, then the center is the coefficient of x divided by -2, and also coefficient of y divided by -2. So part A is just straightforward. Center is -10 divided by -2, and y coordinates 6 divided by -2. Therefore, it is 5, -3. And part B is also straightforward. They say the radius of the circle is 7, and based on the formula that we learned, radius can be obtained by this formula. So we just simply write down about radius is equal to the formula d divided by -2 square plus e divided by -2 square, and then minus f. This basically it is the same as the x coordinate of center. So x coordinate center 5 square, and then plus bracket -3 square, and then minus. The key point is what is f. F is the constant. So if we separate the terms, we are talking about -3k. Don't forget the negative. And it's given that the radius is 7, so we just simply replace it by 7. And then we handle it. I don't want square root, that's why I choose to take square on both sides. It's become 49, and right hand side, the square root is removed. 3k is equal to 15, therefore k is equal to 5. The formula of the center and radius from the coefficient of general form is a fundamental questions that you must memorize. In this question, there are equation of two tangents, and then the circle equation is given, which is this one, and then they say that the slope of each tangent is 2. For any straight line, we can say that the equation is y equal to mx plus c. This time the slope is given, so we can update the information. Y is equal to 2x plus c. But how can we find out the value of c? We are going to use the nature of tangent, which is only one intercept point. So we are going to consider the intercept point. It gives us a quadratic equation, and that quadratic equation should be only one repeated root for each tangent. By checking the value of delta, then we can write down the equation for c and solve the value of c. Anyway, the first stage is to consider at the point of intersection. At the point of intersection, is fulfill the circle requirement. At the same time, it fulfill the straight line requirement. So it satisfies the simultaneous equation of these two equations. Before that, we should let the equation of tangent be y equal to 2x plus c. We should write clearly. Then we solve the simultaneous equation. Replace every y by 2x plus c. X squared plus 2x plus c bracket square plus 12x minus 2x plus c bracket, and then plus 25 is equal to 0. Then we expand it carefully. 4x squared plus 4cx plus c squared, and then plus 12x minus 2x minus c, and plus 25. Try to write like terms in the same column so we can find out the like terms easily and then combine them. 4c and then plus 10 times of x, and then the constant is a little bit long. This is a quadratic equation to find out the value of x, which make the point fulfill both situations together. But we just focus on the fact that only one point of contact. That means in this quadratic equation of x, only one real root of x. Therefore, we consider the delta is equal to 0. And don't think that there are 2 points of intersection. For each tangent, we are just talking about 1 point of intersection. But however, it's possible that we have 2 values of c fulfill this requirement. You'll find that there are 2 tangents. One is left hand side, one is right hand side. So our delta, we are going to use b squared minus 4ac. 4c plus 10 squared minus 4 times 5 times c constant is equal to 0. I extract 2 in this bracket, and then because of square, 2 become 2 squared 4. Taking out 2, let us able to divide both sides by 4. Also 0 divided by 4. So the number keeps smaller. 4c squared plus 20c plus 25. Every term here we have to times negative 5. So we have negative 5c squared, positive 5c, negative 125. Divide both sides by negative because I prefer positive c squared. To solve this quadratic equation, you may just simply use your calculator formula 1, or you can factorize it by using cross method. C is equal to 20 or C is equal to 5. That's consistent with our finding that there should be 2 tangents fulfill the requirement. We are asked to find the equation of tangent, so we have to answer the question. Those equations are y equal to 2x plus 20 and y is equal to 2x plus 5. If you just tell me about the value of c, is do not answer the question directly, so you won't get the final answer mark. You need to tell me explicitly, you know that those tangents are this one and this one. In this question, they give you 3 points, and then we are going to find out the in-center position of this triangle. In-center, that means inside this triangle there is a circle. And the corresponding center is called the in-center of this triangle. And then maybe in your notes or textbook or some other tips, they tell you that how you draw the position of in-center is by drawing the angle bisector from 3 vertex, and the position that whether they intercept is the position of in-center. But what I concern is why we have this property, why the angle bisector cross each other will give you the in-center. That's what you need to know. Basically, it's because of the tangents from external point. From center perpendicular to tangent, this is the property that we learned in the circle chapter. If we connect the external point to the center, then this triangle will form a congruent triangle because of the radius and the common line, and also together with this right angle. It's formed RHS, so that we can say these 2 triangles are congruent. That's the major reason why these 2 angles are the same, is because of corresponding angles of congruent triangle. So what you should memorize is not just the angle bisector, but you should know that if you draw the radius, it forms right angle. And you can find out 3 pairs of congruent triangle. If you focus on this part, because of all our right angle here, so basically this one is a square. And then your in-center from origin is go right by our unit and then go up by our unit. So we know that the center is R. Then our mission is to find out what is the radius of this inscribed circle. This distance is r, also this distance is r. So we can find out one side of a congruent triangle is 24 deduct r. Just like what I mentioned, these two triangles are congruent. This is 24 minus r, which implies this is also 24 minus r. Similar reason, we have 7 minus r here, which means that this is also 7 minus r. And if we consider right angle triangle with 24 and 7, then the hypotenuse is 24 squared plus 7 squared, which is equal to 25. Which means that the total length here is 25. Therefore, we can write down an equation with r. 24 minus r together with 7 minus r is equal to 25. So 2r is equal to 6 while r is equal to 3. That's why the in center is 3, 3.